Good morning, everybody. Episode 92 of the Keep Going podcast, athletes shining a light on mental health. I'm super excited to be here. A little bit early start for a couple of people in the crew, but we're excited to get that energy going. Dave, what's up, man?
What's going on? How we doing, Pat? I'm fired
I'm
up
real
to be
good,
back
man.
back with the Keep Going podcast. I missed last week. I was out last week, but ready to be back and talk about mental health today.
I love it, man. I heard you had a big race over the weekend, so let's start there. How did it go? How's your body feeling?
Body's a little sore. Yeah, I did the Continental Divide race in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's 16 and a half miles up and down the mountain. A lot of elevation. I think it was around 35 feet climb elevation up and down the mountain. I was not expecting that the down part was going to be harder than the up part. But yeah. I think it's always good to challenge yourself and keep on growing and keep on trying new things and get out of your comfort zone. So that's a new thing that I did this week.
Yeah, I think that tops my Lake Geneva boat tour for sure. Alyssa, how about you? How's your weekend been?
It's been good. Thank you guys today for having me on the pod. Moved back into college this weekend, senior year. Me and my teammates are in a house. So that's been a little crazy hectic. But yeah, we're settled in now. Classes start tomorrow. I'm excited to get going.
No, well, we appreciate it. Trust me, if anybody gets it, me and Dave get going back to school and moving, all the stresses and all the question marks that come with going back as a senior. I completely get it. So for you to take time with us today and talk about mental health, we're forever grateful. So we appreciate that.
No, I'll always make time for you guys. So thanks.
No, of course. Well, let's get rolling. So, Alyssa, obviously a little bit of intro, and I've been trying to get better at this. Obviously, preseason All-American, Division I softball player at Stony Brook University. Played with my fiance for a couple of years, which is how we got connected. And not only that, but you're a big-time academic scholar at Stony Brook as well, with a bright future and a career that, honestly doesn't get a lot of light on it. So I want to touch on that today as well. But talk about how you got started with softball, like early on, started with sports. We start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my mom actually played softball. So it was one of those things where it's like growing up, it's like, okay, well, my kid's gonna play the sport that I played. So I started t-ball. I must have been like 4 or 5. And I just really found a passion for it, you know. And my mom had always coached my teams too. So there was that relationship as well, where it's like, oh, I get to be involved in this sport that I'm finding that I like. And I also get to spend all of this time like with my mom. And I think that those two things together are really what like stuck me to the sport. And she coached me all the way through travel up until I left for college. Um, and I remember too, like when I was a kid, um, it was like an event. Like it was like, oh, like we have a game today. Like let's get your cleats and let's like put on the sunscreen. And like we were like the Smurfs team and we had blue apparel and these like Smurf little hats. And I think like the mix between like this like really, really fun environment and then also getting to play, this sport where it was very fun for me to like hit and like then like run down to first base. Yeah, I think that really just stuck with me. So I guess it started there.
I love it. And your mom's been super supportive, obviously, on socials. You'll come to realize I got a baseball mom of my own. I'm very into it. I've obviously coached Dave, and I remember walking his family around on his recruiting visit at Rock Valley. Like, family's just so big, right? Like, it can make baseball, softball, any other sport so much better. So I'm glad to hear you have that relationship. I guess the other thing I would say is on the academic side, right? Like, obviously, you're playing high level Division I softball. When did you know, hey, I want to follow this career path, and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so like for academically or the
Yeah, academically. Go ahead.
yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, when I first got into college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I think that's a common thing for kids entering college. You think that you have to have this like A, B, C, D plan, and that's just not the case because you could have that plan, but it might get, turned around upside down 3 times over, but you still are going to be able to land on your feet. So I went into college knowing nothing other than that I liked science. Like that was my favorite, classes in high school, everything science. So I went in as a biochem major, and that major is hard. you know? But I started taking these classes and I started realizing like, wait, like, so these are the careers that I can do with this. These are the paths that I can take. And it's also, I've been fortunate where I have met people with, careers that I think are interesting. And, you get to talk with them through that as well. Um, but, and I really didn't know the exact career path that I wanted to take until I started like reading more books, and fiction, nonfiction didn't matter, but I was like, oh, okay, so these are like the nonfiction topics that I find interesting. And now I can see how these characters in other books can use these skills and to see what they're doing, which is like, I guess not a common way to find out what you want to do with your life, but um, yeah, it worked for me. And then did an internship this summer, got the opportunity to go up to Lake Placid and do that, which I was grateful for. And I
Nice.
think that's when it finally clicked for me of like, this is what I can see myself doing.
Yeah, and Dave, I'm gonna go to you, but there's a reason I ask these questions in this order. Because I feel like when you see someone like Alyssa, right, the All-American, the Division I scholarship player, like someone that's well put together, you think, okay, she just woke up one morning and had this whole student athlete thing planned. I think it's refreshing for our athletes to hear that you had to go through your A, B, C, D plan and really decide what's going to be yours, and you're still figuring it out. It's not like a done deal. It's always under construction. Dave, what do you got there?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's so important to just be have the ability to adapt to change and be vulnerable. Like you said, you're reading books, you're talking to people, you're discovering what you can do with your degree, which is so important at that age. I still don't know what I want to do, and I'm
Right,
out of college. Like I'm still going
right.
through that change. So keep on. I would just suggest to anyone that may be not knowing what they want to do, keep on trying new things, keep on talking to people, maybe try this, maybe try to just get a mentor and mentor someone that may be in your field for a day. Can be huge just to see what you like, what you do, and what you don't like.
I
Yeah.
agree, man. I think that's so key. I think it's okay to fail. It's okay to shuffle around. I talk about on this podcast that at 29 years old, I haven't used my college major once yet. But what it did do for me is it set me up for career in coaching, set me up for a career in working with student athletes and doing something in that field. But you just don't know what you're going to actually use it for. So no shame in that for sure. Well, we're cooking already this morning. Liz, I appreciate you, like I said, jumping on today. Hey, let's get in the mental health field because if I know anything, marrying into a D1 athlete here, I know there's struggles to this. So talk about mental health at the college level and how that's been.
So it's interesting because I think a lot of the times you get to college and depending on your program, sometimes mental health isn't really highlighted very much. And I think that it's more you have to go and look for it instead of it coming to you. And I think that that's a hard step for a lot of especially athletes to take. But if I've learned anything over my time here, it is so important. Like you cannot play at your best unless you're also, at your best up here. Um, and it's always a work in progress and stuff like that. But I think that at the college level that it needs to be more of a priority.
Yeah, I love that. And it's come a long way, Dave, since we've even been in college. But we're not at that point yet. Like it's not like everyone has a sports psychologist, everyone has a sports, psychiatrist, everyone has someone to talk to. We're just not there yet, unfortunately. How has Stony Brook been? Like I know a little bit, but like how has it been for your mental health and for your teammates?
No, yeah. So Stony Brook actually has gotten better since my freshman year. We have a athletics hired on a therapist, Dr. Danielle Marola, and she's
Shout her out.
wonderful.
Shout her out.
Shout her
Yeah.
out. Like I love her. She has been amazing and such a help to me over the years. I think that, like you said, like it's constantly getting better.
Yeah.
It's still work, it's still, still getting better, work in progress. But definitely since what I've started, me and my teammates feel a lot better and more comfortable reaching out when we need it.
That's great to hear that you have a resource like that. I got a question for you. When you are going through maybe a challenge or a change there's so many things that you have to juggle with being a student athlete, what do you focus on when you may be not your best self, or you may realize that? Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
question.
No, usually what I try to focus on, and like we touched a little bit on this, like when you're first starting your sport, is like why, like what's your why? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending all of this time and energy? And I have to just remember to have fun at the end of
Mhm.
the day, and enjoy the experiences, because you only get to do this really like once. So
Yeah.
I think just taking a step back and realizing, maybe it's not as big or it's not as serious as I think it is or I make it out to be. And just, taking that step back and remembering to enjoy myself, I think is huge for me. And taking breaks when I need it as well. Because college athlete, like it's go, 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 go. And it's easy to get wrapped up in that. Um, and that's where Pat's lovely fiance was amazing last year, because I was her roommate, and with another girl, Jules, and they were really, really good at um saying, okay, like we need a break tonight. Like, let's put down the school books, let's not think about softball anymore for the rest of the night, and let's just enjoy each other's company and enjoy the experience. So yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah, there's
Absolutely.
a lot to unpack there. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, that was such a good answer. There is so much more than just your sport or just a test. And I think just being present and realizing that is huge to be at your age, just being in the moment and saying, okay, it's okay just to step back a little bit from school and sports, because for me that can create a lot of anxiety and stress in itself. Just being an athlete, having a bad day at practice, but knowing once you get off the field, you can switch that mindset, like, okay, I'm going to let it go, get get right with my people, and keep moving forward. I think that's such a good mindset to have that you do.
That's
Yeah.
huge. That's
Yeah, I
huge.
mean, something that I was told, that like on that note, is like at the end of the day, or at the end of, the practice, the game, whatever, when you like kind of hit the locker room and take a shower, you gotta like wash it off. Like, wash everything off. Don't carry that with you, because it'll just eat you up.
Yeah,
Yeah, completely agree. I was watching, I think it was MLB Tonight last night, and they had Albert Pujols on, which I thought was crazy that Pujols is now in the booth, right? Like, we grew up watching him obviously play, and he was talking about how the difference between him and the guys that didn't make it is he didn't let bad days domino into bad weeks, bad months, bad quarters, bad years. And I thought that was crazy because, like, at the end of the day, you can stop this at any time, right? You can have a couple bad days in a row, but keeping going nose to the grindstone, working on your craft, leaning on your people, Alyssa, like you touched on, that can help get you there. And I think Albert touched on some coaches and some veteran players his first couple of years in St. Louis. It wasn't just him in the cages by himself. So the point I'm trying to make is, if the best in the building and the best in the world can admit, hey, I got to get back to the drawing board, I got to get back with my teammates and coaches, there's no shame in doing it as well as a high school or college athlete. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Well,
you're always
go
working
ahead,
to get
Les.
better.
Yeah.
Always working to get better. You got to learn to brush off the bad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that, showering that off too. That's the first time I've heard that for sure. But
Yeah,
okay.
no.
So what I want to do is I want to keep rolling, obviously. And I think my next question would be, you have a teammate that's struggling, right? You have someone that is on your high school team, on your club team, on your college team that's not having a good time, struggling. You could notice it. What do you do for teammates when you notice that, Liz?
I feel like the first thing that I would do is just to pull them aside. I don't like to address anything like that in the locker room in front of the team, and just kind of be like, "Hey, like, I noticed that you're off recently. Like, are you okay? Are you stressed?" And just kind of give them the space to answer. Um, and I get that some people may not be comfortable, especially if maybe I'm not that close with them to begin with. But you could always maybe hit up their friend, be like, "Hey, I know you're really close with so and so. They might not feel comfortable talking to me, but maybe you would like to check in on them." Or you could even, you know, say, hey, I know that maybe you don't want to talk to me or one of your friends, but we have this really great support staff here. If you ever need their phone number or need anything, feel free, I can give it to you. I think it's just opening the floor for them to feel comfortable and be able to answer you honestly, whatever that may be, whether it's to you or to somebody else.
No, that's it. Dave, I know you went through this as an athlete, man, very similar to myself, where you kind of put this face on, right, every day, like, hey, I'm coming to the yard, I'm going to hit, I'm going to be a team first guy. But then you go back to your dorm, go back to your apartment, and you're feeling kind of like the stressors, the pain, kind of some of the stuff. Talk about that, Dave, for people that don't notice it, man. Like, what do you recommend there?
Yeah, for yourself or for others?
For you, man, like what's going on if, hey, if you're just having this pain and you don't know where to go and people aren't noticing, right? It's not always so easy to notice.
It's really hard to yeah, it's really hard just to realize it yourself. But I think you do have to um try to notice your emotions throughout your day and how you are feeling. And that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I think um, there's a lot of adversity and negative things that can happen throughout your day. But if somehow you can turn those negative things into a positive and have some meaning to what you may be going through in that moment, it's extremely hard to do. But if you can do that, that's my best advice, is try to have some meaning, and you're actually trying to help other people, maybe help other people and yourself. And I think that can create some joy and happiness in it as well.
No doubt. No doubt. I just always talk about in this podcast, Dave, and you know that being with me the last how many episodes now, like not everyone has this amazing support group, right? Like we always talk about get with your community, get with your support group, but like for the people that don't have that right now, I think it's encouraging to hear you guys both talk about like go pull somebody aside, like identify your triggers, keep trying. I think that's pretty powerful for our athletes and everyday people going through this. Liz, how about when it's going really well? Like when you're having a year, because you've had a lot in your high school and college career where you look back and go, I was feeling myself a little bit. When things are going well, what are you doing, girl?
Honestly, not thinking. I
Yeah.
feel like I play my best when I am enjoying myself and I'm not thinking about the outcome. Um, and that's needless to say too, that some of my best moments the last 2 years have also been followed by my lowest moments. I think that it's, you know, it's not always a straight trajectory from down to up. There's bumps in the road for sure. But man, like when all of the hard work that you put in pays off, it's you're on cloud nine for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, yeah, it's an awesome feeling, but it's also, you know, the culmination of all of the effort and all the work that you've put in up to that point.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Dave.
that is one of the best answers I've heard on this podcast. In
Yeah.
a sport, it is so easy to get caught up in your mental game. It is such a mental battle, and especially, as you know, softball or baseball, you can go whatever, 0 for 3, 0 for 5, 0 for 10, and just get caught up. But you're talking about how you just have to have a fast mindset and keep on moving forward. And those moments do happen when you put in that work and preparation and trust that work that you've done. Don't let one game affect your year.
I've said it.
Exactly.
I've said
Yeah,
it.
and I remember
Preparation. Yeah, go ahead, Les.
yeah, no, I remember one of the points that the team had like made this last season, you know, when people were struggling a little bit, is we talked about, you know, exactly kind of what Dave said, like we work too hard to let our mistakes like be mental. Like
Yes.
you put in too many hours in the gym and the cages on the field to let your, you know, head get the best of you in that moment.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great quote. I've never heard it explained like that. I think preparation builds confidence, and that confidence can't waver. Like our A+ plan in the box cannot waver. Like we've put in so much darn work for this. So I love that answer. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's helped me in some really rough spots. So it's like you said, it's the building the confidence and falling back on this and being like, yeah, you know what, like I did put in those hours. My body does know what it's doing. I'll be fine. Like, just don't overthink it.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm starting to hate Dave. I'm starting to hate trust the process. Like I'm really starting to hate how it's used. I would rather lean back on trust the work that you put in, like Alyssa said, and say,
Yeah.
hey, we've come too far to let my brain tell me I can't do this because I know I can do this. That's good
Yeah,
stuff. Good
that's a
stuff.
great way. I
Yeah.
got another question for you as you're coming into your senior year. What's some advice that you may give to your freshman self or someone
Yeah.
that's new coming into their first year of playing a sport in college?
Oh, that's a good question. It's I've changed so much since then. I'm a completely different person than I was 3 years ago. But I
Confirmed. Confirmed.
yeah, completely different person and for the better. Um, but I think the biggest thing that I found throughout my years that I struggled with is finding that balance and not letting the sport consume you. Like how we were talking about before, that you're so much more than an athlete. I think it's easy to come in to college and especially at the Division 1 level and be like, I am here to play a sport. I am here to play a sport. I am an athlete. I have to be good at my sport. And it's just there's just so much more than that. And I think if I could go back and do it all again, like that's exactly what I would do is I'd be like, no, like I need to go and hang out with friends more. I need to, enjoy myself and get more of that college experience because it shouldn't be your life. Balance is important, but it shouldn't it shouldn't be one thing shouldn't be your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the other day, Dave, that's a great question. I might have shared it, but like, I don't believe in balance anymore. I believe that choices that you make magnify other areas that stand out and where your energy should go. And
Yeah.
I'm hearing that right now, Alyssa, that sometimes it's not going to be softball that fills your cup the most, and that's okay. Like that's okay. And
Mhm.
I found that at the end of my career as well, Dave. Do you feel that way too back in the day at the end?
Yeah, no doubt. There's so much more to um, just being an athlete and being your sport. I think you have to enjoy those little moments too. Not everything relates to on the field. Enjoy the bus rides, enjoy the locker room, enjoy just goofing around, and enjoy those moments where maybe you were mad at practice that one day because you did something wrong. You kind of can look back at it and laugh at it.
Yeah,
Um,
Mhm.
I
find
No,
some
for
agree.
sure. I
find
I
some
think
in those bad
yeah.
moments too.
Yeah,
No,
go
yeah.
ahead, Les.
There's always something to enjoy about it. I look back now on some of my worst games and I'm like, oh God, like I laugh at it because it's like doesn't matter now, but then I was acting like the world was gonna explode because I was like you said, 0 for 3. Like and you look back later and you're like, all right, like wasn't that big of a deal. But I guess I while you guys were talking, it just sparked kind of a thing that, I would want to tell, my freshman self is that, you know, reaching out for mental health and help does not mean in any way that you are weak. I think athletes a lot of the times we are so used to like pushing through everything. You're struggling, push through it. Something hurts, push through it. But that shouldn't be the case when it comes to mental health. You shouldn't have to just push through it and grit your teeth and, battle it. You got to reach out when you need it. It does not make you weak. It does not make you less of an athlete. It like that would be my biggest takeaway because remember as a freshman, that's exactly like how I felt. And now looking back, I'm like, reaching out was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, I've talked about it before. I jumped on a podcast with the athletic school. This has got to be a year ago now. And we talked about how Tom Brady, when he went through all his stuff, was in therapy. And it's like, you think about the strongest mental performer probably in the history of the NFL. Like, this has no cheat code. It has no cookie cutter to it. If you're having issues, talk about it. And that's why we do this pod every Sunday. And that's why I love being here with you guys today. Dave, what do you got?
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are um, in any position. If you're the lowest or the highest person, you can reach out and get help.
Yeah.
And there are people here to support you, and there are people here to get you back on path. So,
Yeah. And
just trust.
I'd like to say, Dave, that between yourself, myself, Luke, Jackie, like we've had 92 examples of that over the last 2 years. So like, don't hesitate. I think it's really cool to hear you say that today, Alyssa. Like, reach out because there's someone that is gonna send us a message and say, "Hey, I need to talk to Alyssa Costello," and I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, no, I think that's powerful as well. It's nice to be able to share that with people and just nothing that you go through you ever have to be alone in.
Powerful. Well, I'll ask you this. I'm looking up at the clock. We're 28 minutes in. You obviously know the preface of what we look to do here at KG, but like, tell us your keep going moment. Obviously, it's so nice to see you, knowing you for the last 3 years and the growth that you've made. But like, talk about your keep going moment.
No, I think my keep going moment really came um this past year and my sophomore year. I remember my sophomore year, I came into the season off of a hot freshman year, and I struggled my sophomore year, and I was at a low. That's when I needed to reach out, and I think that my keep going moment is when I did start talking about what I was feeling, and I like how we just said, I realized that I have all of these people around me to talk to, and once I started building those relationships more, especially with my roommates this last year. Like I was like, this is it. Like I can sit here and look at all of like these wonderful friendships that I've built and all of these people that I have the ability to talk to. And like this is what keeps me going. When I have a hard day at practice, I know that I can go to my phone, come home, like talk to them about it. Like I look forward to every moment that I spend with all of the people that I love.
Yeah, that's an incredible answer. I like that last part there. Like, you're now looking forward to the future. You're looking forward to those fun times. You're not kind of like pigeon toeing around, worrying about the past, worrying about what happened. Like, I think it's powerful that you're moving forward and you're going to keep going every day, which I admire. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I love that answer too. Um, you've just been an inspiration to me today. Looking back, just hearing your answers today, you've changed my perspective in many ways, and how you speak and how mature you are at your age is insane to me. I was never that. But
No, Dave, I'd be in a way different spot on a Sunday morning, and it wasn't church, guys. It
yeah,
was not church. Go ahead, Dave.
but I love all your answers today. Um, and yeah, Pat, we got some more questions coming up.
Yeah, man, but I don't know why you're looking at me because you know that you ask first every week, so it's all you, man.
Yeah, so we're gonna do some like rapid questions at the end of this at the end of this thing. And I'm just gonna start off like, what are you most looking forward to this week?
Ooh, this week?
Yes.
Um, this is gonna sound really nerdy, but class is starting because I'm taking this really cool neurobio class that I'm looking forward to, and that I totally just revealed myself as a mega nerd, but that is in fact what I am most looking forward to.
Yeah,
Uh,
someone is smiling and then someone like me is like shaking because I can't even imagine doing neurobio anymore. Like, let's never do that ever again. No, awesome. No. My question was inspired by a high school coach out in Minnesota this week who asked me this question. He said, if you had to back a bowl of cereal, so you had to start with one bowl of cereal, finish the milk with a second bowl of cereal, what are you going with?
Ooh, Lucky Charms followed by Crave.
Wow. Okay, got it. So a little bit of sweet and a little
Two,
bit of chocolate at the end.
yeah, very sugary, very unhealthy, but I think that they would honestly kind of be really good back to back.
Dave, I gotta ask you that too. What are you going with? Are you a cereal guy?
I'm not a cereal guy at all.
Oh my God, I hate you. Never mind. The podcast is canceled. No, go ahead. What's your question? Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, where do you find happiness in your life?
Oof. I find it in multiple different places. I find it in the time that I spend with my friends and my family. Um, I find it in my schoolwork, in my sport, in my hobbies. reading. I go surfing a lot, painting. Like, I think that in everything you do, you should find some happiness in it. I think that it's very important for me to always be surrounded by things that bring me joy.
Yeah, no doubt. I love that.
I think that's
Like,
pivotal. I think that's pivotal. Tell me about someone that inspires you and why.
So, somebody that inspires me a lot, has always been one of my friends from home. Her name is Hannah, and
Let's go,
sh
Hannah. Woo!
let's go, Hannah. I met her my freshman year of high school, and we've been friends ever since, which is crazy to think about now being a senior in college. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of time. But she's 2 years older than me, and she was always somebody that I looked up to, one of the kindest people, always like had her head on straight. Right now she's she's in PT school, and she's getting her dual PhD, so killing it on that front. Um and she was somebody that always was there for me when I needed to reach out, and she inspires me every day to not only be a better person, but to work hard at what I do, because I see how successful she is, and I'm like, that is exactly where I want to be 2 years down the road.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Dave.
yeah, I love that. My last question is, what are you gonna do this week for your mental health?
Ooh, that's a good one. So this week for my mental health, I will most definitely be journaling. I have a little
Yes.
journal that I keep, and I tend to write in it when, you do big changes. So moving out of college senior year, I think that definitely deserves to put some pen
Checks
to
off the
paper there.
box. Checks off the box. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, big enough life event there to, open that up. Then I always like to make sure I put some time at the end of the day, whether it's an hour to put down phones and screens and read a book. I think that that helps me a lot.
Yes, those are two
I
great
like,
things.
I like that. I like that. Last one, Liz. I know it's a Sunday morning and we will get you out of here today and back to your day. But the question that I've been asking, and I've been trying to be better about this, is how can we help you? I mean, anytime we can have a big athlete, someone that has inspired hundreds and thousands of people today, we have to ask what we can do for you. So how can we support you in what you're looking to do?
That's very sweet. No, I think that, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. I think it's really, really important for athletes to hear what all the amazing things that you guys have had to say over the last 92 episodes.
Thank you.
Because somebody out there, not just somebody, a lot of people are going to relate to it. And I think that that's powerful. There's no like better way to get a point across than just to talk about it. Um, I think that what you guys are doing is great, and I would love to just I'm happy to be a part of it, honestly, because I think it is so important.
Thank you. And
So
I
yeah, keep
think
doing what you're doing.
thank you. And Dave wasn't around when no, Dave was around, but he was not with the podcast when we had Stony Brook on originally. That was one of our biggest episodes. We had Sean on and we had Jules and Ashton on. And that was early on, and thousands of people interacted with our crappy podcast. We were so early on, Dave. Like looking back at that, I'm like, I banged my head off the wall. But the point I'm trying to make is like Stony Brook softball has been such a big part of this podcast. So anytime we can get someone like yourself on, we really appreciate you. So thank you.
No, it was my pleasure to be here. Anything you need from me, just let me know.
Selfishly, I'm happy it was now. I think you're a different person that you would have been than 3 years ago jumping on that panel.
Oh, I agree. I think I had a lot better things to say now. A lot
Uh,
more
I,
wise in my years.
I don't know about that. I just think that you were growing like 18-year-old should be. And I think it's
Yeah.
encouraging to hear you now as a young adult and as someone that's going to be a really impactful part of society, talk about those struggles and admit that you didn't have to get it all at once. Dave, wrap us
Mm.
up, man.
Yeah, I know you have impacted me today and many other people. Thank you so much for coming on here, and being part of our community. And always keep going.
Keep going, baby. Well,
Keep
I love
going.
you guys. Let's have a Sunday and we'll talk later on. Thanks again. Love you guys.